This week, Echoes of Giant Monsters becomes Echoes of Giant Monster Messages as we examine the themes of Godzilla's revenge and ask the real burning questions. Is Ichiro a hero or a menace? And does Godzilla truly teach us to fight our own battles? Taylor, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming along onto the rebooted Echoes of Giant Monster podcast. Appreciate it.
I am happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I did not allow Joshua to join us.
Well, you know, I want the record to show the invite was extended on my part. That is not my doing. We did not get together ahead of time and ice you out, or
I
did we?
am I am a horrible co-host. No, I'm just lazy. So that's all it is.
So we are going to be talking about Godzilla's Revenge or All Monsters Attack, however you know it. I know it as Godzilla's Revenge. But we're going to take a little bit of a different approach. We're not going to really get into the is it a good movie, is it a bad movie? That's been done to death, and but that should not preclude you, dear listener, from wanting to do your own podcast and get into the finer points of the movie. But we're going to more talk about the themes, the messages, and so what better than to have someone who has a podcast where uh, you discuss messages in giant monster movies. So as I
Very
always like to
serious
do,
messages.
as
Mhm.
I as I always like to do, because I always say nobody listens to the last 5 minutes of a podcast, so I like all the plugs to be up front. So Taylor, would you like to plug your show? Plug
Yes.
whatever social media you may or may not have.
Oh, I think I have one. But yeah, I'll do anyway. Giant Monster Messages. I started that, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something. Because I was watching them and I wanted to make my friend Joshua watch them. And also he has a different viewpoint. Elevator speech, Giant Monster Messages. We look for the messages in giant monster movies. That's basically what it is. Me and Joshua, I've seen all of the or most of these before. Joshua's not seen any, so you have different viewpoints. Also, I'm more of a scientist. He's more of a theologian. So we get different messages that way. That's good. Yes, that explains it, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
how could someone not want to listen to that now, right? Like that's so and your podcast can be found
Oh
everywhere,
yeah,
I gather.
everywhere I put it out, and then people listen to it. I think I've put it everywhere. But yeah, I use Podcast Addict, and I know it's on there. Actually, let me get my thing away from here. You would think I've never podcasted before. But no, yeah, put it everywhere. Giant Monster Messages. We have the website, giantmonstermessages.com. No one uses websites anymore. I don't care. I'm still going to use it because I like websites. I miss forums, but that's a different conversation.
Listen,
Socials.
nostalgia kicks in like every like the rule of 30, right? So like when the people who grew up on websites, like when they're 30 years away from it, they're gonna come
So
back. They're gonna come
there,
back.
I gotta wait. I gotta wait. But no, we the social I have is Blue Sky, Giant Monster Messages or Giant Monster Mess. Also a Discord, but the link from that is in the Blue Sky. I think that's it. Yeah, I don't have any of the other things because I'm lazy. That's the main thing.
I don't think I realized you had a Discord. I mean, full disclosure, we are in a Discord group chat together,
Yeah.
but I don't think I realized that.
I
So
again, I'm
that makes me a
bad at
bad listener.
advertising.
That makes
No,
me a
no,
bad
no, no, no.
listener.
No,
So
I'm bad at advertising it. I always say, like, when I get listener feedback, it's like, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to put a poll up. Half the time I do. And then, like, we get to, like, when we're recording, we get to the end of it, and Josh was talking. And then I realized, oh, man, I didn't ask a question. I didn't get listener feedback. It's, I'm real bad at it. I don't know. I do it because it's fun and I like watching these movies and get messages and looking deeper, but also looking surface level about all these giant monster movies or kaiju movies. I don't want to get into it. It's
sure, yeah, yeah.
I
Listen,
don't
we
distinguish them. It's just I don't speak the language, so like I don't
it's
because technically it's dai kaiju.
you can if you get bent out of shape about that, I think that type of person probably spends a lot of time on Twitter,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
that's why I'm
probably
not
like the
there
primary
anymore.
reason why I don't one of the many reasons why I don't use that
Oh
anymore.
yeah,
But
that's one of the many
uh
reasons too. We used to have one there, and it. I will complain about Blue Sky here. Uh, I can't put poll options on Blue Sky. I could on Twitter. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I stayed as long as I could. But then it was
no.
like, no, it's not worth it. So I need to figure out. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying I don't know how to.
Okay.
I had Instagram, but I was, and then I was like sharing giant monster pictures, and then I was just like, they're not my pictures, and like I'm not adding anything. So it's just like I don't know. And also I posted like once every 3 months, so it
You
wasn't
can
good engagement.
restart it with like the three figures you said that you have, and you can just post one a quarter, and But no, your podcast is great. It's one of my favorites to listen to.
You're very sweet. Thank you.
I think you just did well, Orochi, the eight-headed dragon you just did. I
Yeah,
listened
that
to
was so
that.
much fun. I loved looking at. Oh yeah, and I like looking into the history, not just like facts and cool things. There's tons of cool things about every movie,
Mm.
but I like if I'm not lazy and if I have time, I like looking into the history of like why the film was made, when it was made, what was it bringing to the table, like what was like not just the history of the movie, but maybe the history inside the movie. Like I tried to look into the history of Japan in the Turtles 3 movie because they went back to the beginning of the Edo period. And like just trying to figure out I think in that point the writers just chose the beginning of the Edo period and they just kind of left it at that. But for Orochi, there's a lot of history in that, and
Sure.
I got excited.
Well, definitely recommend checking that out. And I guess one last bit about you before we dive into this. So
Uh-oh.
what is your kind of brief background on either getting into Godzilla initially or kaiju movies
Ah,
initially?
yes.
How did
Okay.
we get here?
I'll try to be medium brief. I don't remember my first one. I've asked my dad, and he said it had a giant moth. So I'm going to go with the original Mothra because I like that one now.
Hmm.
So I'm going to say that was my first.
Okay.
I don't remember it. I didn't really. I mean, I grew up actually. I'm going to date myself horribly. I grew up with the Godzilla NES game.
Oh, Monster
I
of
can hear
Monsters?
the very first one, if that's the
Yeah.
title of
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear that song playing. Just it had like two songs, but I played so much of that game. I never beat it because I was like 10 or 8 or something. But that's my first memory that I know I have of Godzilla. And then occasionally I'd catch him on like some show or some TV somewhere. And then maybe like 10, 15 years ago, I remember I was sitting in a diner. I was on my phone. Like I was having lunch by myself from work. I was like, I'm gonna look at something. So it's like ranking the top 30 Godzilla movies. This is back when there was like nearly 30,
Yeah.
probably.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I've seen a lot of these, but I haven't seen all of them. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch all of them. So I sat and watched all of them. And then I made an Excel document. And I was like, I need to watch all the Godzilla adjacent movies. So, like Rodan,
Hmm.
Mothra, anything that had to do with Godzilla. So I watched all those. And then I was like, you know what? I need to watch every giant monster movie. And then that's when I dragged Joshua to do this with me because I found the reason I look for the messages is some of these movies after the watch them 2 or 3 times, especially close to each other, your brain stops working a little bit, or like
Hmm.
it looks like some of these movies. I'm not saying Godzilla. I'm just saying some of these. You've seen them enough times that your brain it tries to grasp at something that's maybe not there, maybe isn't. Who knows?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
it's working, and maybe you could see something you didn't see before, or you're seeing something completely different because you're tired of what you're seeing. So that was like I could. I'm seeing these deep messages and these. I don't know what I was seeing, but I dragged Joshua into it because he's my friend and I like his point of view because it's often different than mine, but we can still be civil. So I like that.
Yeah. 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 And I think sometimes I don't try to look for let me rephrase this a little bit better. It means like sometimes I don't try to look for meaning when meaning's not there. Like sometimes
Oh
a movie's
yeah,
just a movie, right? But it's like
yeah.
and I think of The X from Outer Space, for example. That's a movie. I don't
That
know if
is a
have you guys done that
I
yet?
love the extra matter
I
station.
love it
It's the plastic water, the mold thing growing. I could go on, but
too.
continue, please.
But it's a movie where it just is what it is. Like it's a cash-in monster movie, right? And I don't think it
Yeah.
makes any illusions about being anything other than that. But I think oftentimes Godzilla movies and Gamera movies, even the kiddie Gamera movies, I think kind of get lumped into that. And I go no, these were all made by people who were very passionate about it, and maybe the lack of budget maybe impacted what you're seeing on the screen. But I have
Oh
no
yeah.
doubt that there was real meaning and there's real passion going behind this. And I think these movies actually do um, carry some messages to them. And those are movies I look at and go, yeah, it's not a reach to say, hey, there is more to this than just giant turtle or Godzilla fighting a pollution monster. Like there's more to it.
Oh man, Hedra's great. I That's one of my favorite. That's a top five
Top
Godzilla.
five. Oh, we said
It's
at the same
it's
time.
even though I usually do top nine just to be obstinate, but that one is definitely top five. No, you're talking about messages and how they're not there. For X from Outer Space, apparently my message was take a hint, listen to people when they say they want space. Who knows if that's the message? But that's what I got from it. But yeah, not
uh,
all message. Not all these movies have messages.
all right. Well, shall we get into the meat of
Yeah,
this here?
I'm just here following whatever you got.
All
I
right. So I'm
will
going to
try to match.
I am going to do a brief background on the movie because again, I think this is a well covered movie, but still, we're going to be talking about Godzilla's Revenge, also known as All Monsters Attack, released in December of 1969 in Japan, 1971 in the US, directed by Ishiro Honda, written by Shinichi Sakazawa. Eiji Tsuburaya gets a special effects supervisor credit, but he wasn't really on set. This was kind of towards the end of his life. His
Oh
health was
yeah, I remember that.
failing. It sounds like he did provide
Because Honda
um,
directed both parts. Usually he just did the other ones,
right,
but
right. And
yeah, he directed the monster stuff too.
he brought in an assistant director to help, or another director whose name is escaping me at the moment, to also help with the monster footage stuff. But um, yeah, so Subaraya, by some accounts, gave some feedback, but sounds like he wasn't really on set. Now, at the time this movie was in development, the Gamera series had kind of full on gone towards the kids, and this movie goes towards the kids.
Yeah.
But another thing is the year prior, Gambra versus Varas was out, which relies heavily on stock footage, and we are not going to really get into the whole stock footage thing, but I'll reference it, I'll
I
acknowledge it
a
here.
little bit. I want to talk about it a little
Yeah,
bit, but it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
super important.
And so, a big cost cutting measure in Gamera versus Varas is that they incorporate a lot of stock footage in the other Gamera movies. It is speculated, not confirmed, that some Toho execs thought that was a good idea to keep costs down. Either way, Sekizawa did confirm that he was asked to write a movie around existing, or what would primarily be around existing clips from
Yeah,
previous movies.
they
So
shot some new stuff.
right, right. But that was the one of the edicts was like, can you write a story that will factor in scenes from older films? And I think, and I'm not like 100% on this, and again, because I got this from a very modern day source. I don't know how
I had
accurate
a
it
book
is.
that I used to reference for all these things, but I don't. Sorry,
Maybe
go ahead with
maybe it's
yours.
the same book, but I think maybe what will play into some of the setting and themes is that there was it sounds like around the time of this release there was a big push to build more like apartment buildings. There was a big housing explosion, it sounds like,
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
parts of
yeah.
Japan at this
Industrialization
time.
in
Yes.
Japan. Yeah.
And that, I think, as we actually get into the meat of this, like I think maybe that will play a little bit of a factor. But yeah, should we just get the stock footage bit out of the way really quick? Because
Yeah, I
I like
would.
your thoughts on stock footage. So
I just like again. I watched it again. I watched the original English subtitle 2 days ago, and just an hour ago I finished rewatching the English dub. And yeah, like the first, like I hadn't seen it in about a year.
mhm.
Watching it again, great. Loved it because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I think that's a lot of problem some people can have. When this came out in '69, the last Godzilla movie was 2 years ago. They don't have VHS. They don't have the
Mhm.
internet. They don't have access to all of these movies. The kids that want to watch this, and even the adults, hadn't seen some of this in 2 years. I don't remember things I saw 2 years ago.
Sure.
Again, I just watched this after it's maybe been 2 years since I saw it. It didn't annoy me. I think it's yeah. If you stop, I know you use stock footage, and if you're watching these, like a lot of podcasts, I do this like if you're watching one after the other, you just saw the stock footage last month or two
Right.
weeks ago,
Right.
maybe 2 months.
Right.
You're like, I could see that. But for the viewing audience, and also it's for kids, I don't think it's an issue. It's a giant monster fight. And honestly, I clocked it. I wrote this out. There is tons of giant monster fighting in this, far more than a lot of other ones.
Hmm.
It can be very entertaining for people that haven't seen it in a while or people seeing it for the first time. So I know people gripe about the stock footage. I don't see it as an issue.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I say this like in terms of like when I talk to people like Godzilla versus Gigan, which is like one of my favorite Godzilla movies, and like that's a movie that has a fair amount of stock footage. But when I first saw Godzilla versus Gigan. I had not seen Monster Zero yet. I had not seen Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster yet. I probably had not seen Destroy All Monsters yet. So I'm like 10 years old seeing that movie. I don't know that it's stock footage. I have no
Yeah.
concept of this like being reused footage. And and I think a lot of people who these like the kids like these movies were made for, they don't have that sort of they don't have that knowledge like you said as well. So it's like to you, to a kid, to the innocent, fresh viewer, it's just new and exciting and it's fun.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, even if you do remember, you'd be like, whoa, that's when he beat up Giant Condor. That's my favorite fight. I hope there's someone that said that. I really hope that that was someone's favorite fight.
I
But
actually
anyway,
that's actually a good pivot into getting into what age we were when we first saw this movie because I first saw
I
this
don't
in the
remember.
90s as
Okay.
it was part of the TNT like Monster Vision marathons
Yeah.
and which had the original Godzilla 54, Godzilla versus the Thing. It had Invasion of the
Nice.
Astro Monster, but it cut out the fight on Planet X,
Oh,
which
where
I
he does
didn't
the
even,
jumping celebration.
yeah, totally cut out. I didn't know that scene existed for like a decade.
Huh?
Godzilla's Revenge and Terror of Mechagodzilla. And
Oh,
so
that's a good one.
I still have my old VHS tapes from like 1994 of like when I was like a
Nice.
little kid, like just staying up, like swapping out tapes to record all
Oh
these.
yeah, I'm sure I rented these. I don't know when I saw this.
But the
I may
Condor
not
fight did
have.
stick out to me because I was like, damn, he just roasted him in the face, and I thought it was like the coolest ending to that fight. So I actually was a big fan of
Yeah.
the Giant Condor
That's
fight.
awesome.
So
Yay. People give smack to John Condor. I don't love I mean it's cute. I know that it was a King Kong movie originally, and like that makes sense for more when like
yeah.
it was King Kong fighting a giant bird that it's fine. Another discussion I could go on about too much. I mean, that's why we're
So
here, but I'll be quiet.
that's so we were you on the younger side when you first saw this movie, or were you a
I
little bit older?
I'm gonna just to be safe, I'm gonna guess older because I don't remember seeing it. I like I said, I saw some of these. I know growing up, I know Mothra. I know Angus. He's best boy. I know King
Again, we're
Ghidorah.
all on the same page on everything here. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I know Ghidorah from things. I know King Caesar from things. I the first movie I do know remember watching was Megalon. I had the
That was
VHS
also
of
my first
Megalon.
movie.
Yeah. So that's one I definitely remember, even though my dad says the moth one. But this one, I mean, we could make the argument that since it uses so much stock footage, how could I remember it? But I'd argue I love Gabra. Gabra is one of my favorite giant monsters. He's just so sassy.
Yeah, yeah.
I love him so, but like I would think I'd remember Gabra. So I'm gonna guess that I'm older. It could have been I didn't see it until maybe 10 years ago, which is crazy,
hmm
but that may have been it. And I think I loved it from the first time I saw it.
So that's gonna be the next question because when I thought about doing this, I heard you talking about Godzilla's Revenge and your towards the end of one of your more recent episodes in your podcast, and I was actually thinking about like I was like, oh, it'd be good to talk about like Godzilla's Revenge, but like from a little bit more of like just strictly on the merit of the story
The story
it
of
and so it sounds like you have always kind of been like you have always just been a fan of Godzilla's Revenge, like from the get-go.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, if someone goes back and maybe I don't think I said anything bad. Who knows? But I have to go back. But no, I think it's one of the best constructed narratives in a Godzilla film. I mean, it's simple, yes, but you've got the main character story. He daydreams about these things. He's got his real world problems. His dreams intersect with the problems. He uses his dreams to overcome his problems. Solved. And then I mean, you've got deeper things about, and like we can go into it more, but I think there's also other deeper things that Honda was trying to address in a kind of a simple way
hmm
as he was. But I honestly think it's one of the best stories in a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I'll admit I used to be one of the I used to be part of the group that was like very dismissive of this movie. I didn't say like, oh, it's total trash or whatever. It's just like I was just like, yeah, whatever.
I
It's like
get
not,
it. Yeah.
it's like but I saw it when I'm like younger, I'm like 10, 11 years old, so obviously I know everything when I first see it
Oh yeah.
as like so I'm like this movie doesn't speak to me. I'm already super smart. I'm like 10, but then I didn't watch it for a long time and I've seen it like here and there but when I was rewatching it for this recording and I was kind of looking at it through like a new lens and obviously being several decades older than I was when I first saw it, I was like there is actually like a lot going on here that
Yes.
and I actually have come away with like a newfound appreciation for it. Do I think everything lands as intended? I
Oh
guess we'll
no.
I guess we will find
No.
out. But
I
like sorry, go ahead.
no, I think it's for the edgelord Godzilla fan, I'll call it like hot take. If you love people that love like destroy it and think it is the best Godzilla movie ever, I can see utterly hating this film.
Yeah, I mean for the Twitter fan base, this is not
This
this is
is
not it.
and again, and then this movie isn't for me. I'm an adult man. This is squarely aimed at I don't know, like what 7, 8 year olds. I don't know,
Sure,
young
yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so it's squarely aimed at them. But I think it's still I think it's great at delivering that message. And I don't hate. I usually hate kids in movies. This is adorable.
Yeah, he's I mean, with if it's gonna be a kid-centric movie, you better hope that kid's not one thing I will always kind of side with I think the majority of people on this is that the Gamera series having a bunch of Kennys, right?
Kenny, yeah,
Like
Kenny,
they are annoying. Ichiro, like I mean, like I was actually taken aback by how I don't know how old the kid actually was when he was in the movie, but like
yeah,
I feel like he did a very mature job being a kid who's on his own for the most
yeah.
part, kind of being raised independently, showing fluctuations of he has moments where he comes off very mature, but then he's coming off very immature in other scenes because again, kind of lacking um
He
much
seems
in the way of
genuine.
structure. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he seems well, plucky when he's by himself, but like in the beginning, he's very afraid when confronted with the bullies, as kids are. But like when he's talking to the neighbor adult, he's maybe not the nicest kid, but he's a kid. He's just off in his own world. Oh, you've made a computer? That kind of sucks. I'd rather take me to Monsterland. Like he's kind of sassy that way, but he's not that kind of uppity know-it-all that's just too good for everything. He's just a
Right,
kid,
right,
and
right.
it makes it very believable.
And he's a kid basically growing up with like without his parents around. His parents are
Yeah,
out. They're
that's
out
a
trying
big
to
part of the
do.
movie.
They're out trying to do their best, and it shows that there's not he lacks having both parents around and I don't want to get too much into this, but of my own like kind of personal beliefs or whatever. But I would watch this movie and like, oh man, like there's a whole lack of like, community resources that like really should be available like to this kid to kind of like help kind of
Yeah.
fill that void a little bit. And also, then my mind is also going. I was like, well, what's going on with the wages here? That like, these parents going to work so much, like wage growth isn't really keeping up with the cost of living probably. And I'm going down this like weird like rabbit hole and stuff
Oh
like
no,
that.
I mean
But
I think the movie specifically trying to address those issues that was happening to the Japanese, just Japanese people, like their apartments. I can't remember seeing apartments like around like it seemed more real. Just the
yeah,
representation of the people. Like, luckily, he had a nice neighbor who I believe was Doctor Who and King
yes,
Kong
yeah,
Escapes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
the
it was
most the most
nice.
vile character in the Showa series to one of the nicest.
Yeah, he's a super nice inventor. But yeah, I think I mean it's purposely showing. I don't know how much writing Honda had to do with it, but
Right,
it's interesting that Honda did this after what is this 15 years after the original. I mean, the guy that
right,
made
yeah.
arguably the most serious and somber Godzilla movie is now making the most kid friendly is not the right word, but kid viewpoint of a child
Hmm.
using Godzilla to address real world problems.
I mean, I think there is like an undertone of somberness and gloom to this. I mean, like, the setting right off
It's
the
true,
bat,
yeah.
it's very bleak. It's very like they just show you
Industry,
pollution and
yes.
industry and like, their apartment building is next to this like rundown factory, which the robbers are hiding out in. And again, this is not me. I feel like this was intentional. This is not me trying to find meaning that
No,
isn't there.
no,
But I
no.
but I
This
remember
I think this
thinking it's
meeting is
like
here.
he's never sharing outside of the one scene with his mother. He's almost like never in the same frame as his parents, or there's some great distance between him and his parents, right? Like his
Yeah.
dad's working whatever it was, like on the train or whatever, and he's very far away, like in the road talking to him. And I was like, all right, this feels like symbolically
Okay, and
meaningful.
oh, it was the biography on Ishiro Honda. That's the book I remember for this because the original draft, or maybe the original shooting part, the movie ended after that conversation with his mom, and they were like, "That's really too sad." Because the ending part's like she wishes that she didn't have to work so much, and like he's like, "It's okay, I can do things," and then she cries, and then credits, and they're like, "That's real sad." So
Yeah.
that's where they added the additional scene where I kind of want to get into that part where he
Yeah, no,
does
I have
it's
that to discuss.
because it's the only part I remember it like tripping me up in my original idea of the message of the movie, and because it's the bullies and he does what he agrees the bullies want him to do by honking the horn and then getting the painter and then runs away and his dad has to stop him. I've like watching it again because the first bully interaction is they steal his vacuum tube. That's why he went into the
Hmm.
abandoned places. They steal his abandoned tube and they said, "Hey, if you go honk that guy's horn and mess him up, we'll give him the vacuum tube back. Or do you want to fight me for it?" And he's like, "It's broken anyway," and runs off.
Yeah.
So he doesn't face his problems. Whereas the end, he beats him up, and then as a celebratory, like kind of, I mean, I think I'm thinking too much. I think it just makes sense as a kid. He beats him up, so they're friends now. Because I don't know about you, but when I was like 8 to 12, I'd fight with my friends on the school bus or afterwards.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
they weren't even my friends yet. We just get into a fight and then we're friends.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just kind of how it worked. I don't know. It's weird. So I'm guessing that's maybe that's what it was. He beats him up. They're friends now because he goes and honks the horn and they're like, "Yay!" And then he runs to his dad. He's like, "Dad, I messed up. I know I did it on purpose. Can you help me?" And then continues running down the street.
Yeah.
That's my newest takeaway from it is it's just kids being kids.
See, so I think that's the part where we will, because I've actually been stewing on this like for a while, thinking
Good,
about
do
it.
it,
Like,
bring it.
I feel like it's like presented as a somewhat like that tack on scene at the end, I guess, as we'll call it, like after like the mother uh cries. Like it seems like it's added to make it feel like it's like a happier ending. But I'm sitting there going, I was like, okay, when you couple that with like the preceding scene where he basically tells his mother, he's like, hey, listen, I'm totally cool with you never being around. I've just
Yeah,
accepted that's life now for me. So, I'm gonna go out now. I'm gonna be at the bully of this gang. I'm gonna ultimately kind of take over that gang. And then I'm going to
yeah,
take my first step towards committing juvenile delinquency
yeah.
for their approval. And, it's like, now again, I'm being a little tongue in cheek, but at the same time, too, I'm also like, well, like, I don't know, in the real world, like, that's kind of like, that can kind of maybe be the beginnings of something, right? Like, a kid could maybe it starts going like, okay, you start with like honking the horn and knocking this guy who's painting a sign or whatever off. The next, like, maybe they're daring you to do something a little bit more like daring, then
He's gonna be
something
a
illegal,
crime
then something
lord.
illegal. Like, I'm not saying like he's gonna turn into like some crime lord or something like that, but it's like, but you can see how it's like you're like, oh man,
I
like,
think it also ties into earlier in the film when his dad has that one meeting when he's not on the train. Not meeting, he's talking to a coworker.
yeah.
He says he wishes his son was more assertive. I was like, okay, this is technically his son being more assertive. So maybe his dad's proud of that.
Mm.
Like there's parents when they have like kids that are really, really, really good. And the parents are like, why don't you just like have a party while I'm gone? Like, I'm not
Yeah,
telling you to do it, but like
that is
be a little rebellious.
that is absolutely not the environment that I grew up in, but that's not
Not
for
me
here.
either, but like you see it in
But
movies and stuff. It's like the
yes.
really goody two shoes. Even the parents are like, that guy is a dork. Like our kid is so lame.
But
Like, oh,
that somewhat loosely kind of gets to something I wanted to ask you because I think we see two different parenting styles on display. We see how his real world parents are, and then we see how Godzilla is with Manila.
yes.
So, well, let me stop there because I don't want to guide you in any sort of direction. What are your thoughts on the different parenting styles between what we
Well, I
see on
think
display?
they both the parents they want to. I've got a thing. When you messaged me, I made a document, and just out of habit, I just started looking for messages in these movies. So I'm trying not to like just, but no, like there's an ongoing thing about how they want to be somewhere else. The dad wants to not be in the city; they wants to be somewhere else. Like the mom doesn't want to have to work all the time, but she needs to. So like the parents want something better, but at the same time sacrificing what they have now. Whereas Godzilla also wants him to be better, but he's actually hands on or foot to tail on,
Yeah, yeah.
like forcing him to face Gabra. And like I think I said in like my podcast, I re-listened to it. I'm like, that's weird. But he I think Godzilla like paid Gabra to beat up Manila just to like
I think I remember you saying
yeah, and it was just like
that.
he like what it doesn't make any sense. Like it's fine, whatever. But like he's paying him to like toughen up his kid. And then when Gabra fights back against Godzilla, he's like, no, no, I'll beat you up easy. But yeah, they're definitely do Godzilla, definitely two different because Godzilla's very just face it. I'm not going to help you. Actually, I'm not going to let you run away at all. I mean, weirdly enough, Godzilla's more present, but I don't know. Godzilla doesn't have to have a job, so is it really his fault?
Well, on the flip side, I would argue his job is basically just walking around and keeping all those like jerks that are on the island with him. Like I was actually thinking about it, I was like in one sense I was like he's the king of the island. He's the king of the monsters.
Yeah,
Like he is like the not rich, but you know what I mean? He's like the successful parent, whereas like Ichiro in his real world, he's kind of get these more loving, affectionate parents, but they're struggling to get by. And like it's like they want to be affectionate, but they can't be there.
yeah.
Whereas
We always
Godzilla,
see them affectionate with him when they're available
right.
to be affectionate,
And Godzilla's more
which
just
is
like
nice.
the you just need to like, he's like the kid who's like, listen, you gotta get out there and you gotta throw 100 pitches before you can have dinner tonight. Like making his kid like just like drill over and over and over
Over
again.
and over.
That's how he shows his love. Um,
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's showing his love because that's survival. It's a different world. That's the only way Manila's going to survive is by having the breath. So maybe that's why Godzilla is like, I can't let you not have the breath. You have to have the breath. All Godzillas have the breath.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
disappoint me.
And it's like then it's like I don't know. Again, not trying to think like too deep about this. I was like, why is Ichiro dreaming about this sort of style of parenting? Is this just his device to like get stronger, get tougher? He's like just kind of decided if like I just got to
Yeah,
do this myself, and that's how he's getting there.
yeah. I kind of looked at it as Manila was like his OC, and I know he's not because he was in one movie before this. So it's like basically Ichiro saw the last movie and knows all the Godzilla stuff, and he just made his own little. It's a fan fiction island for him, and then yeah, like the parenting, Godzilla is there for his kid. His parents aren't. Maybe that's what it implies, and he's hoping that his dad would help him fight the monster, the Gabara. It isn't. It's weird how they both have the same bully name. It's crazy.
How he's just projecting it into his dreams. It's like,
But yeah, like I it's kind of funny. Like the only real monsters he interacts with is Manila because it can get small and big. But I always kind of found it sad that Manda is just like his head just pokes out of a wall. And Anguirus is just a flyby. He doesn't hang out with them. He just wants Godzilla. Which I mean, everyone has their favorite giant monster, so it kind of makes sense.
yeah. Then he like meets Godzilla, and Godzilla basically shoves him down
Yeah.
a hole towards the other movie. That's why he wakes up, and I was like, well, don't meet your heroes, kid.
Yeah,
That
exactly. Yeah,
happens.
maybe that's like he imagined what the opposite of his dad would be like. His dad and mom, someone who's there but not as affectionate, whereas his parents are not there and they're affectionate. And then he realized, oh, if he's there and not affectionate, that could be bad. So maybe I'll run to my now. This is me just making up excuses to like explain the end of the movie. I run
But do
to my
you
dad because he is affectionate.
now? Do you think like I mean I think again look when I was watching this movie now as like an adult I was like okay I think there is actually way more meat in this bone that I kind of have neglected over the years. But do you think this is a movie that how it kind of portrays Ichiro being lonely, experiencing escapism, dealing with bullies?
Oh
Like, do you think
yeah.
it kind of holds up still to this day? Does it
Oh
feel
God,
dated?
yeah. I had a funny. I'm a child of the '80s, so that's when divorce was actually like getting it around a lot.
Yeah.
Like people were actually getting divorced. And so it was funny. I was an only child. And but then when my dad remarried, they brought in two kids. But when I would go to my mom's house, I was the only kid again. So I had a lot of only child stuff, but then having to share stuff, but then every weekend having only child stuff. And Ichiro is completely an only child energy the whole time. Like designing, like I would play with Legos and do all the things. They would lock me outside just so I wouldn't like just stay in my room, play Legos all day
Hmm.
and maybe interact with people. But like he like I mean maybe that's another reason I like the movie is because it's very only child energy where he just has to take care of himself. Because after school, I'd walk home and I was an only kid. Like I just take care of myself and do whatever. So it's I think it represents sadly. I mean, actually, this is only what 20 years before or something. So it's not that long. I think it continued to be relevant to only childers for a long time.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
about you?
well, so I have a little brother, but I'm 7 years older. So that's like kind of like a significant age gap where I think
Yes.
it's like you're kind of going through different life experiences. So when I'm like, and I'm getting the sense that I think you and I are like roughly around like the same age. And, I think a thing that there's many parts of this where you go like, all right, I was like, you could easily get this like a modern update, right? It's like, he's playing with like a toy computer and he's kind of going the escapism route. But now he would just have a real computer and he'd be able to like, I don't know, go play like RuneScape and
I
get his
mean, if
escapism that way. But
you could have a really poor family where they don't have a computer, but
yeah,
why doesn't he have a phone? You have a computer on there. Probably playing Roblox or something. He
I,
imagines Roblox. Some I don't know.
I
I
think
don't know what the kids do these days.
I think they do Godzilla podcasts when they get older and they but no, I think like I kind of think the two things that I think have kind of flip-flopped is like I think one theme that's kind of prevalent is the whole like fighting your own battles mantra. Like that I think like
Hmm.
Manila just keeps saying Godzilla gotta teach me to fight my own battles, and that kid does. And I feel like that was like a product of like very 80s, early 90s like parenting mindset where you're just like, listen, kid, you can't count on anybody but yourself.
Because I'm
So
going to be at work all the time now. So
yeah, so it's like, and I think that maybe, I mean, I don't know because I don't watch like, I don't have kids, I have cats, and my cats can fight
they
for
watch
themselves. So
very little television.
yes, yes, except one of my cats really likes basketball. We think it's because of the sneaker squeaks, but
Uh, uh,
I go like, oh, I don't know if like that message would still be used if this movie is like remade today, or at least maybe not as strong. But I think maybe the escapism route would, I say escapism is wrong, like it's like a bad thing, but it's like no, like I think they would probably more say
no,
like it's important to kind of find like hobbies, interests, like these are things that it's okay to have this, like to make you help you get through like your day-to-day issues. Like it's not a bad thing, right? I kind of feel like
yeah,
we're when our generation, like we're growing up, like we have parents that are probably just like, it's time to put those toys away. It's time for you to like stop watching playing these video games that like you're too
watching
old for that now. You're
cartoons.
too old for that now.
Yeah.
Then here we are now again, like many decades later, talking about these things that we enjoyed as kids. So that I think it holds. I think a lot of it holds up. I do think some things would flip flop a little bit.
Yeah, I think now it'd be a lot harder to do the isolation because so many people have access to some type of internet, and then they're going to find whatever Discord that they like, whatever, joining place where kids do. I don't know where they, but like it's much harder to stay disconnected. But even in that connected part, people can still not feel like they're connected.
Right, right.
So like, it'd probably be shaped into, maybe they have an online presence, but you know, they still live in like some mill town that there's nothing there and there's so they're not connected in real life, but their escapism is through the people. I still think this one would be better, but I don't know how you do it now, but this one's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I just think again, it's like it's hard to like kind of figure out how to like again not having kids, but like which maybe that's one of the messages I took from this movie was don't have kids. Just kidding. I don't really
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Every
kidding.
movie with kids tells us that.
Have more cats. I'm just kidding. Um, but I was like, I do think like that. Yeah, I think if it was like remade now today, I think they would maybe paint his like maybe perhaps like his like online escapism, like depending on who's handling it, they would either paint it as like, oh, this is like super unhealthy and like, super toxic, or they'd be like, oh yeah, and
Yeah.
like, no, it's like it's good. It helps you find community.
It
But
depends on what message that writer and filmmaker wants to get across.
yeah.
Yeah,
It,
that it could be done either way.
and so I guess I feel like we've done a good job, I think, really kind of hammering in these themes here. But what do you think they were trying to convey like in the end? Like, do you think it was like meant to be like a happy ending, or was it meant to be?
I think it was more of a just a this is how things are changing and what they're changing into, and this is what life is like for kids these days. I don't know if it like just that's what I'm getting from this time, not even from previous. This is just me trying to get like a new thing on it just this week. Is I think it was kind of a tone poem. I hate that phrase, but it's just like this is what life is like now for kids. We're in this industry phase where there's not going to be a parent home anymore, and kids are going to have their own thing to go to. If they learn some lessons, hopefully they learn it from something good. But and maybe get along with the community. But I honestly, I think it's just more. This is what life is like now.
Hmm. Yeah.
This is yeah, and is it better or worse? I don't even think it goes into that deep. I think it was just like this is what it's like now.
Yeah.
I
And I
don't know.
think
What about you?
yeah, I think that's kind of I think I agree with you on that. I do think maybe the ending where he's like, basically, takes over the gang. I feel like that was probably I think that was like probably intended just to be like added on to have like a lighthearted ending, and I think
Yeah,
I think I am like overanalyzing
I do too. When I
the unintended meaning behind those scenes, but it's like it kind of struck me as like I was like, you know what? I was like this I think is kind of like a timeless universal story
yeah,
here, right? Like
it's
this can
I
apply
agree.
now, right?
It's a simple story. It's a good little time capsule for what's happening, and you can take the basic part. Like you said, we've talked about the basic parts. Fight for yourself. Like have fun. OC. They're not OC, but like kids still call it OC, don't they? For original character.
I
Is
think
that what
so,
that
yeah.
stands for? Okay,
Yeah, I think
I
so.
know it's not, but like you're having your own little fantasies, and that's not bad. Like at the end, the neighbor says, "Well, depending on which version you watch, if you watch the original with the English subtitles." When the interviewers are like, "We heard you stopped the robbers," and he's like, "It wasn't vanilla," and he runs off
Yeah.
because he's a kid. The neighbor's like, "Well, you know how adults believe in gods. Well, these giant monsters are gods for them." And then the English dubbed, it's like we have heroes where children have heroes. That I mean, all these have like at the end, like what's the message? That was probably the most obvious message is
Right.
maybe it's the changing times. Like nowadays we have superhero movies and like just things change about what our heroes are and what we look up to. And that's another. I didn't even thought about that in conjunction with this,
Mm.
but that's I think that's one they were just trying to put on there. Like this is the message you can get from it. Hopefully you have good heroes.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
well, our generation, I feel like we had a period where our heroes were like the first Fast and the Furious movies and stuff like that, and
they were trying to steal DVD players. How dare they?
yeah, those like gold DVD players from the early 2000s. But I think it was interesting to rewatch it this way because I have come away with a newfound appreciation for it, and
When was the
and
last
I
time you watched it before this?
probably a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so it wasn't like forever ago, but not one that I have like in the heavy rotation, or maybe I saw like bits of it. Like sometimes I'll just like when they were having like the Pluto channel, it was like just on all
Yes,
the time. Like even though I
yes.
have all these things on DVD and VHS and Blu-ray, like I still just put that on while I was like doing stuff like around my house. And
Oh man, I've rented a movie that I have the Blu-ray or DVD of so many times
there's
because it's so much easier because I have to hook. I don't have the DVD player hooked up to my TV. I'm like I have to break that out. I was like, I'm gonna pay $3 to rent it. I don't
yeah,
care.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's other things about this wanted to address. Um, I know Israel. We've talked to death. The robbers, they're fine. Um, I'm trying to think. Were you annoyed when his pit trap didn't work the first time? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when he's like in the warehouse and he's like
Yeah, he
trying to
set
cover
it
up like
up
the
and they set it up
newspaper.
and they never fell for it. I was like, oh, why set that up?
But
But
also, I was
it
thinking,
it,
I
it
was like,
hits, it works later.
yeah, I was like, you're lucky you didn't kill the guy when he fell through that. Like, there's a lot of like
Yes.
cement and concrete there. You know,
Oh, I did want to bring up something I noticed this time that I didn't last time. And it's the director made it super obvious. If the robbers had, because they got him in the car and they've hotwired, they're trying to hotwire it
yeah,
and it won't hotwire it. He escapes and they hotwired it just as like the hood drops down, the
yeah,
car starts up, and they could have just gotten into the car and driven off, but instead they chase him into the building.
right,
If they had just gotten into the car and left, they're over, they're free. So
yeah.
that was an obvious thing. It's like, oh, greed, because greed is almost always a thing in here. So
Yeah,
I
there was
was,
a few points like where they had him, they had the money there. I was like, you could probably just leave now. I don't think you need to like keep kidnapping this kid. Like
yeah,
I'm a
no one
little like
knows.
unsure what the plan is here. Like,
Yeah, just leave them tied up. Not to give kidnappers ideas, but once they kidnap him, get the license, leave him tied up in the building, and then just leave. By the time he gets out, you're gone.
yeah, yeah,
You
it
know,
was just
the kid doesn't know you. So I don't know. These robbers were dumb, but
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Robbery doesn't pay or whatever.
That's the root of crime bears wicked fruit, as they say.
Unlike this movie that is not wicked fruit. Oh, I did thought at the end, does Ichiro now that remember in the beginning when they said if you go honk his horn, we'll give you the vacuum tube back. And he doesn't do it. But at the end, he does. Does he get that vacuum tube back?
I don't think so.
That's all I care about.
But didn't he
Because this
also
he
pick up
found
another
more.
tube somewhere? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He found more tubes and he found a whole headset thing which let him get kidnapped, which I love that transition when he gets kidnapped by the robbers in his house. Because in his mystery world, leaves come out like a plant grabs him. And
Yeah.
it's just his imagination. Like it's really the robbers getting him. There's so many things about this movie that I love. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, I've come away with a newfound appreciation for it.
It's
I
beautiful, simple storytelling. It's
yeah.
great.
And again, with the stock footage part, when I was watching it, I was like, you know what? I was like, this is a meaningful story that is broken up by some like really fun monster fights. I don't care if
Yeah.
not all of them are from the original movie. It does have one of
No,
my favorite scenes in the entire franchise where Gabra punches Manila square in the face. That will make me
it's
laugh
so good.
every time. That's a top three Godzilla
Mm.
franchise moment for me.
Anytime Manila gets punched or hurt, oh, it's so good. Like, was it Sonic Godzilla when is it Kamacuras of the insects are like cracking him open from the egg,
Yeah.
and they just start beating his head in? Oh,
Yes.
I
They
love it
throw a
so
rock at
much.
him.
Yeah,
There was like a little part of me, like I was like, damn, dude, it was like, you should learn to fight your own battles. Like you were literally born fighting. Like you should be better at this by now.
he's so ugly when he's born. So gross.
I know it's like did Godzilla look like that when he was a kid? Like it's just it's like
So
God,
weird.
that's
But yeah,
a
I don't think I have anything. I'll of course think of something later. And if it's super important, I'll just be like, hey, we have to do a second episode
yeah,
about
yeah. Or you know
Revenge,
what?
Godzilla's Revenge.
Just be driving in your car, just say it in your phone and send it my way and go like, hey, this came to me and it's gold. And I'll cut it
Just
right in.
insert it into something.
Yeah. So, well, this has gotten me to really appreciate this movie. There's no
You're
like
very
really
sweet.
any Godzilla movies that I like. I like them all, even if I have ones that
I like
I
them all for different reasons.
yeah. But I would
There's,
say Godzilla X
mm,
Megaguirus is probably on the bottom for me. And I was like, I need maybe to rewatch that and try to give that a new appreciation
I
and have
am
that move up the list.
I'm kind of excited because we're in the mid '90s in my podcast, which means we're coming up on Destroya, and I want to watch it to see if I have new thoughts and opinions on it
Hmm.
because I'm not a fan of it.
Interesting.
So I talked some friends up to see it when it was playing in the theater, and they're not Godzilla people or
Sure.
giant monster people. They did not enjoy it, and I was just like, yeah, that was a lot of explosions for nothing. But I want
I
to watch it again and see what I'm thinking.
I mean, I've always liked it. Most of the 90s movies, I'm like kind of have like the same sort of general like level. I like them all kind of generally the same for the most part. Some a little
Hmm.
bit more than others, but I kind of remember like in the 90s when Godzilla versus Destroyer first came out and like the response in the US was like kind of lukewarm to it. It was like all just kind of like, oh, it's fine. But hey, we're off to Hollywood now. You
Oh
know.
God, that makes me think. The first one I ever saw in theater had to be the '98 one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the first one I saw in not the first movie I saw, but the first one I
No,
saw
not the
in the
first one I
theater.
saw, but
Yeah.
it's the first one I saw in
Yeah.
theater because it's the first one that got played.
Yeah. But also a movie that's having like I think a little bit of nostalgia is doing
Yeah,
wonders for it, I think.
I'm not going to say it's good. It's fine, I think.
Yeah, I
Is
always
it?
thought
Is
it
it
was
like it's fine?
there's just so much of it came from like a behind the scenes, so much of it came from like an ill-meaning place.
Oh, I know
Like
nothing about that. I'm excited to
the
learn about it.
directors and the producers like intentionally putting characters in like to make fun of like Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel like when
Oh, I knew. Yeah, that
Ebert
was
was like
obvious.
he's like battling cancer at the time and it's like all these like little like petty things that are just kind of done behind the scenes like that's really the only that ever kind of rubbed me wrong about that movie but it's fine it
It's
exists
fine.
it
It's fine.
exists
Everything's fine.
yeah well anything else we would like to say about Godzilla's
No,
Revenge.
thank you for inviting me and giving me an excuse to watch this again.
Absolutely, thank you for coming.
It had been a couple years and I was excited. And I was worried because I remember on my episode, I was like, I love it. It's awesome. It's the best. It's great. I was like, man, is it going to be real bad? Nope.
No,
I think it's
yeah,
still great.
yeah. So I guess with that, thank you, Taylor. Much appreciated. And
Thank
again,
you.
everyone should check out Giant Monster Messages. I guess we will call this episode Echoes of Giant Monster Messages.
I was thinking
The
about that.
Revenge. I don't know.
Yes. I was there
All
combining it. Yeah, that's great.
all monster messages attack. I don't know, but something like that. But
That's beautiful. But yes, thank
there
you
you
for
go.
having me. I will try to not be lazy and get you on one of our episodes.
Always happy to help. Well, with that, goodbye.